protections. She was Attorney General. Listen to this list. When she was Attorney General in the state of California when I was living there, and in her work there, she protected seniors from online scammers. She protected women and girls from online harassment. She protected consumers from privacy breaches. And she established the Privacy Enforcement and Protection Unit within the California Department of Justice. And she was just getting started because then she came to the United States Senate and was on the Intelligence Committee and on the Judiciary Committee. She introduced a bipartisan bill to address cyber crimes and exploitation. She pushed the FBI and the FTC on algorithmic bias. So now think about that list of what she's just done, and think about the huge challenges that we've got ahead of us for artificial intelligence. It is hard to imagine anyone with more pertinent experience and capabilities than the Vice President we've got sitting in this seat. The Vice President convened a group of AI CEOs in the early part of May and brought them together here at the White House to hold them accountable for their role in how AI plays out. She said to them, you have not only a legal but a moral responsibility to make sure that your products are safe before they go out into the world. And that was a prelude to this very important meeting so that we can focus on civil rights and consumer protection. So we are so lucky to have you in your seat. Madam Vice President, over to you.
Thank you, Director Prabhakar. Thank you, and for your leadership and your hard work with all of these issues that really do affect every person in our country in a variety of ways. I want to first thank all of the leaders for taking the time to be here for this meeting. As I shared with you, I intend to listen as much as I will talk. In fact, I intend to listen more than I talk because I want to hear from you. The President wants to hear from you. We want to know from your perspective, how will the various people in our country be impacted by this issue, which is the issue of how AI will affect their lives in a variety of ways, whether it be through the life that they live as a senior and what their strengths may be, but also their vulnerabilities, through the lens of workers and what this means in terms of their work life and the protections and the rights that they are entitled to, whether we're thinking about it in terms of how it impacts children, how it impacts the future of industries, how it impacts the economy of our country. There are so many components to this. There is the component that has been, I think at this point, well documented about the concern, legitimate concern that many of us have about how racial bias and other types of biases will impact the lives of people because of AI and what we must do to get in front of that. And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process. So to reduce it down to its most simple point, this is part of the issue that we have here, is thinking about what is going into a decision and then whether that decision is actually legitimate and reflective of the needs and the life experiences of all people. And therefore, a big part of what we will also discuss then is the transparency in terms of the processes through which AI actually is having an impact on decisions. Do we understand the technology? Do we know what is going into the decisions that are being made? So this is a very multifaceted issue and topic, and we also know that that this is technology that is rapidly developing. And so part of the common purpose that we have is a sense of urgency that we get in front of this issue in terms of understanding the implications so that we can work as a community of folks, private sector, public sector, nonprofits, government, to do what is in the best interest of the health and safety and well-being of the people of our country. And ultimately, that's how I think about this. So I want to thank everyone here The issues are, again, it's going to be about privacy. It's going to be about the concern that we have about what this might mean in terms of workers and workplaces. The issue that is a very big concern for all of us, which is about misinformation and disinformation. Increasingly a concern, especially as we also know that there may be a reduction of resources that are going into this issue, and what we must then collectively do when we agree that no one benefits from the widespread of misinformation and disinformation. And then, of course, the concern that we have about threatening just basic rights that all people have to be treated as equals and not have biases inform the way that they are treated. I would also ask that as part of the way we think about this as a community of people, that we understand that it is a false choice to suggest that we either can advance innovation or we protect consumers. We can do both. As the director has said, I have spent a great deal of my career working on this issue, and always guided by the belief that innovation has so much possibility to improve the condition of human life. And to the extent that we can encourage that approach, we should. We should not dampen or in any way slow down innovation that can improve the condition of people's lives. And we must also ensure that in that process, we are not trampling on people's rights. We are not suppressing the rights that people have, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be privacy rights or other types of rights. So a guiding principle for us and for our administration is that we reject a false choice that suggests it's one or the other, and that we will go forward in a way that is to encourage innovation, but in a way that is about protecting consumers and protecting all people who may be vulnerable to unintended consequences. In particular, I think about seniors. As the director has said, I've done a lot of work through my career, predominantly as a prosecutor, being concerned about the vulnerability of our seniors and the need to ensure that they have the information that is important to equip them with the ability to not fall prey to predators. It is about establishing protections, knowing that certain people will be targeted based on their socioeconomic status, based on their race, based upon their disability status. I just convened a group of folks yesterday, disability rights activists, and we want to make sure that we are cognizant of and intentional about those populations of people that are particularly vulnerable. And then we want to make sure that we are thinking about the impact of this on our systems of justice. And as someone who has worked on criminal justice reform, like many of you at this table, and with many of you at this table, we want to make sure that in those systems where we know bias has already existed, that this does not then enhance or exasperate the concerns we have about the outcomes in those systems. So with all of that, I will say that this issue is ultimately about consumer rights. It is about privacy. It is about an investment in innovation, but all the while, and certainly for us in our role, having as our first priority the health, safety, and well-being of the people of our country. And so with that, I thank you all for being here. We are going to continue to do this work together with a sense of urgency and a commitment to solutions. So with that, I thank you all. And Director, thank you. Thank you. Thank you all, press. See you later. We're going to now.
So thank you.